Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? The imperial physician arrived swiftly. Mei Zhuang sat askew in her chair as he took her pulse. Zhang Mi concentrated deeply for a long while, his lips growing tighter, his goatee trembling slightly, and beads of sweat the size of soybeans forming on his forehead. Seeing this, the empress quickly asked, "Imperial physician Zhang, what is the situation? Could it be that she is frightened and has affected the fetus?" Imperial physician Zhang hurriedly knelt down and begged for forgiveness, wiping the sweat from his forehead, stammering, "Your Majesty, Your Highness, forgive my incompetence. Lady Ronghua, she, he repeated she 3 times before finally saying, "Does not seem to be pregnant." The room fell into a shocked silence at his words. I felt a sudden chill, seeing Mei Zhuang in shock, pressing one hand on her abdomen and pointing at Zhang Mi with the other, her voice sharp. "You're talking nonsense. How could my child suddenly not be pregnant?" I quickly pulled Mei Zhuang aside. "Sister, stay calm. Perhaps the imperial physician made a mistake." Zhang Mi bowed and said, "I am not infallible. To be cautious, it may be best to have imperial physician Zhang Muyang review the diagnosis. However, imperial physician Zhang is currently in mourning." Xian Ling's expression was stern, and he coldly ordered, "Summon him." Everyone knew to remain silent in the face of his anger. The hall was deathly quiet, the atmosphere as thick as undissolved gelatin. Mei Zhuang, believed to be pregnant, had been accorded every luxury. Even the ice in the cloisonné basins used for cooling was intricately carved with auspicious patterns. With the warmth of the crowd, those finely carved patterns melted bit by bit, leaving only shapeless, transparent chunks. Tiny droplets slid down, landing in the basin with a crisp ding, casting a somber chill over the entire Yuruan hall. Mei Zhuang's demeanor lightened slightly when Zhang Muyang entered, and he nodded in acknowledgement. After taking her pulse, Zhang Muyang expressed his surprise. "The lady is not pregnant. I'm not sure which imperial physician previously diagnosed her as being pregnant." Mei Zhuang's face, which had regained some color, paled again upon hearing this. She nearly slumped into the chair and ended up kneeling on the ground. At this point, it was clear that Mei Zhuang was not pregnant, but it was uncertain whether this was her own doing or if she had been framed. I knew Mei Zhuang was indeed desperate for a child. Could she have resorted to such a scheme to gain favor? If so, it was deeply saddening. "Mei Zhuang, oh Mei Zhuang, have you really been so foolish?" Caillou, Mei Zhuang's attendant, protested anxiously. "That's not right. My lady's menstrual period stopped, and she had nausea and cravings for sour food. Aren't those signs of pregnancy?" Zhang Muyang frowned slightly, his demeanor calm. "Is that so? However, in my humble opinion, the lady likely had her menstrual period a few days ago. It was just irregular and delayed. It could be due to medication." He added, "About a month ago, Lady Ronghua asked me for a prescription to delay her menstrual cycle, claiming it was irregular and making conception difficult. Though I knew it was improper, she insisted it was for the sake of bearing an heir, so I provided the prescription. As for the nausea and cravings for sour food, I cannot say." His words implied that Mei Zhuang had feigned pregnancy. Mei Zhuang, both shocked and angry, abandoned all pretense of dignity and cried out to Xian Ling, "I did secretly ask imperial physician Zhang for a prescription, but it was meant to aid in conception, not to delay menstruation. I am truly wronged." Xian Ling, expressionless, simply stated, "Where is the prescription?" "Black on white, it will be clear upon inspection." Mei Zhuang instructed by Ling, "Go to my bedroom and fetch the prescription from the bottom of the makeup box on my dressing table." Then she said to Xian Ling, "I understand that private transactions are against palace regulations. I beg for your Majesty's forgiveness." Consort Hua, with a hint of disdain, sipped her tea and slowly said, "Indeed, the crime of private transactions is far less serious than feigning pregnancy for favor." Mei Zhuang, prostrate on the ground, dared not argue and had to swallow her pride for the time being. Shortly after, Bai Ling hurried back, her panic unmistakable, and exclaimed, "My lady, it's not there." She presented the makeup box as well. Mei Zhuang trembled slightly, snatched the makeup box and with a snap, opened it. The jewelry inside scattered, shimmering brilliantly and filling the room with their dazzling light. making it difficult to keep one's eyes open. Mei Zhuang frantically searched, but there was no sign of the paper. Xianling's forehead vein throbbed. His lips pressed into a thin line and he commanded, "Stop looking." Without turning his head, he said to Li Chang, "Find Lu Ben for me. If he dares to delay or resist, bring him here bound." Li Chang, already sweating, whispered, "When I went to summon Imperial Physician Jiang, I also sent someone to fetch Imperial Physician Lu, but his house was already empty." Xianling, furious, exclaimed, "An empty house indeed." He then turned to Mei Zhuang. "He is from your hometown, isn't he? You recommended him to serve here, didn't you?" Mei Zhuang, having never seen Xianling so harsh, was trembling so much she couldn't speak. I closed my eyes slightly, sighing deeply within. Mei Zhuang had been framed. If it were anything else, it might be overlooked, but I had seen the prescription myself. Regardless of whether the prescription was for delaying menstruation or aiding conception, its disappearance only convinced me of Mei Zhuang's innocence. Moreover, the timing of Lu Ben's disappearance pointed directly at Mei Zhuang. Apart from her, I was the only one who had seen that prescription. I slightly bent my knees, ready to kneel and speak for Mei Zhuang. I was the only one who had seen the prescription and could attest to her being framed. She was innocent. As I knelt beside Mei Zhuang and began to speak, "Your Majesty." Xianling's gaze turned icy as he looked at me, his tone as cold as frost. "Whoever dares to plead for Shun shall be deemed complicit." Given Mei Zhuang's prior favor, which had already drawn envious looks, and now with Xianling's words, no one dared to speak on her behalf. Seeing her in such distress, I couldn't hold back and was about to speak again when Mei Zhuang covertly pressed down on my hand under her wide skirt. Her hand was cold and clammy. I understood she didn't want me to speak further. Doing so would only implicate me, eliminating any chance of helping her later. Concubine Qin Fangyi glanced at me and said, "Your Majesty, Consort Jia has always been close to Shenronghua. I wonder about her role in today's events." Xianling roared at her, "Silence!" Qin Fangyi was immediately silenced by his fierce look. She was being foolish, trying to kick someone when they were down, only risking Xianling's anger being redirected at her. Seeing this, everyone hurriedly knelt to beg Xianling to calm his anger. He took a deep breath, his gaze falling on Mei Zhuang's hair. I couldn't help but look, noticing in the bright light of the hall that she was wearing the ruby and gold rui hairpin bestowed by the Empress Dowager. It shimmered brilliantly under the candlelight. Before Mei Zhuang could remove the hairpin to admit guilt, Xianling swiftly plucked it from her hair and threw it to the ground. The hairpin clinked on the golden brick floor, its cold, sharp light flickering under the candlelight. Xianling accused, "You dare to wear this pin while deceiving me and the Empress Dowager?" The action was so sudden, Mei Zhuang couldn't avoid it and didn't dare to. Her hair came undone, cascading down like a dark cloud, making her pale face appear even more rigid. The Empress earnestly advised, "Your Majesty, if Shenronghua is at fault, she wouldn't dare to argue. Please, Your Majesty, take care of your health." Xianling calmed down slightly and said to Mei Zhuang, "I have always valued your prudence. To think you would stoop so low as to fake a pregnancy for favor. I am extremely disappointed." Mei Zhuang didn't dare to argue and just kept kowtowing, tears streaming down her face, repeating, "I am wronged." I could no longer bear it. Being wronged was one thing, but if Xianling, in his anger, decided to sentence Mei Zhuang to death, no, I couldn't just stand by and watch her die. I rushed in front of Mei Zhuang, tears streaming down my face. "Your Majesty, you forbid me to plead, and I dare not go against your wishes. But please reconsider. Even if Shenronghua has made a grave mistake, please remember the days when she served you with all her heart. I entered the palace on the same day as Ronghua, and I know her character well. Even if she has erred today, please give her a chance to reform. And though Shenronghua has angered you now, if one day you recall any of her merits and there's no chance to see her again, how would you feel, Your Majesty?" With that, I bowed my head to the cold floor and refused to look up. The Empress also sighed. Consort Jia's words hold truth. Shenronghua's fault today lies only in her excessive eagerness for offspring. It is hoped that Your Majesty will consider the past defection. Whether it was my words or the Empress's that moved Xianling, he remained silent for a long while before finally speaking. "Shenronghua has behaved improperly and shall be demoted to the rank of commoner, confined to Yuruan Hall, forbidden from being visited by anyone without my express command. I exhaled in relief. As long as her life was spared, there was hope for redemption. Li Chang, treading cautiously, inquired, "Your Majesty, what are your orders regarding Lu Ben and the palace maid named Fuling?" "Search for Lu Ben, we need him alive. As for the palace maid..." His gaze sharpened and he pronounced sternly, "Execute her."
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.